Thank you for watching the 2-minute drills. I'm Aram Talegian behind the camera, San Gabriel Valley Newspaper Group football writer, joined by on the left, the king of Colorado Boulevard.
Been working out, this guy.
Yeah, huh? Yeah. Miguel's
tight black shirts in
Miguel's starting to blend into the backdrop. He's getting so cut. Miguel Melendez, who needs no introduction after that. And on the right, Fred J. Robledo, the San Gabriel Valley Tribune Prep Sports editor and Monrovia analyst. We are talking about a big Rio Honda League game, at least on paper, going down this week on Friday night. The game is at San Marino, which helps the Titans. San Marino 5-2, 2-0 in league, taking on Monrovia. Miguel, they are what, 4-3 and 2-0 in league?
Right.
Right. They're kind of like La Habra, Freddie. I mean, they get back in their own element and they start winning ball games again. Let's get into this, boys. I mean, San Marino's riding its defense under first-year coach Mike Hobby, but this is a tall task, right?
I mean, well, as Steve Ramirez would say, against who? San Marino. Honestly, Miguel, right? I mean, some of the games they won and even the games they lost to, or one of those games were to Rosemead. The other game was to
Bell Gardens.
Bell Gardens. I mean,
powerhouse.
Yeah, you're facing Monrovia right now. This may look like on paper like a league title implications, but in reality, this is another Monrovia blowout.
Right, and you look at, and I think people were clamoring why San Marino wasn't in the top 10, at least in the Star News top 10 when they were 2-0, 3-0, whatever the record was. They were unbeaten, one of the few remaining teams. And you look at who they have played in Eagle Rock, a team that really never got into that game, and then LaSalle, which is still winless right now. I think when I came away impressed finally by San Marino was when they beat Golden Valley on the road up in Santa Clarita, and that was a great game to watch. Mm-hmm. And I think for this particular game, we can't make too much of what has happened last week. San Marino beat a Temple City team that is struggling to say the least. 0-7,
worse than 50 years, Miguel.
Right, and they're playing with their backup quarterback right now.
I'm allowed to say that because I went to Temple City. You do realize this is like their worst start in literally 50 years or something.
Yeah, 0-6 was their worst start. Now
0-7. Okay, so we're rewriting the record books in the wrong way.
They're missing Mike Mooney right about now.
I think both of these schools are missing Mike Mooney right about now. Yeah. That's just me.
Yeah.
And you look at Monrovia.
I'm missing Mike Mooney right about
I am too.
Okay.
You look at Monrovia last week, they beat Blair. I mean, you can't make too much of that game. So now we're going into this game, and who knows? Monrovia was.
What do you mean? Who knows what?
Who knows what can happen? And I'm saying that because Monrovia was.
This is Miguel playing skeptical on Monrovia, which he's done all season, and he's been right.
And let me tell you, well, let me tell you why. Because Monrovia last week had to use their third-string quarterback, a sophomore who was a JV call-up. And he was struggling with injuries.
Who's this guy?
Deshaun Potts, a 5'9".
David Potts, remember him, Freddie?
Yeah, I remember David Potts.
So that must be his little brother.
That's his little brother.
Wow.
Blake Hayworth was out with a knee injury. George Frazier was also out with a knee injury. I'm sorry, Hayworth was out with a shoulder injury. George Frazier was out with a knee injury. McCarthy played very little in that game. So they've been really struggling with injuries, which is why I said Maranatha would beat Monrovia right now if they played. Because they didn't have a quarterback, they weren't sure about McCarthy. And even going into this game, who knows if they're going to have these players at full strength. They might play, but they might not be at full strength.
Yeah.
So they're definitely vulnerable coming into this game against San Marino.
Well, see, I think they could patch it up and beat a team like San Marino or any team.
But they're not Blair, though.
In the Rio Honda League. No, but I think you're gonna see they still have a lot more athletes. They're just a better football school, Miguel, right now than San Marino. Monrovia, look at their overall total picture. You go back to the beginning, the game against South Hills that they lost. It was a good game. Arcadia they lost. Obviously, Arcadia could be a Southeast title contender. Mm-hmm. They beat Glendora. Glendora right now is as good or better as almost any team in the Mid-Valley Division, which would tell you where Monrovia is at. They played a really good schedule. And they lost some of those games, which, what did it prove? It proved that maybe they're not among the top teams in San Gabriel Valley right now, but in the Mid-Valley Division, when they get it going, I mean, you're talking about Covina you got to go through, a Maranatha that you mentioned,
San Dimas, who they already got lost to.
Yeah, but teams they can beat when they're all healthy. I mean, they really can. The key for me in Monrovia, because I've watched them now in a couple games, I think sometimes they get overly creative. They try to do too much when they're a team. If they really just kept it simple and just pounded the ball 30, 35 times against teams you know you can pound the ball against, you're going to win that game. And I think physically, defensively, if they're good enough, they're going to get their mojo going.
Right.
And the best thing that they could do is have the Rio Honda League to get your mojo going, because that's basically five warm-up games before you get to CIF.
Right, and I hate to say, but that game against Blair was that type of game. They were able to. Marquise Bias rushed for 203 yards and 11 carries, scored 3 touchdowns. They needed a game like that to kind of just get their wheels going, and then I think they'll carry that momentum once they get to the playoffs.
I love the situation Monrovia is in. I always think this is the best position to be in. Sometimes you can be the #1 team. You can be like Azusa, have that 10-0 year. Then you go in the playoffs, you got the bullseye on your back. Everybody's looking at you.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard to win that way. Monrovia, for a defending champion, you kind of get... Who's everyone talking about right now? Covina. What Maranatha did last week. They were saying, hey, San Dimas is a contender. They beat Monrovia. Monrovia is going to be that defending champion that's going to go into the playoffs. People are going to think, oh, they're going to get beat in the semifinals, finals. They're going to be the hardest out in the Mid-Valley Division playoffs. Because one, they're defending champion. Those teams are hard to put out. And two, this team, you know it on paper that they have a good team. Well, I know that they do.
I put on my blog, Fred, this week, this is the team, if you're anybody else in the Mid-Valley who's going to be in the playoffs, you don't want to see them on your side of the bracket.
Right.
Okay, and if you do, that's scary because everyone knows that if they put together that game or that stretch of 2 or 3 games, they're scary, man, on
There's
talent.
nothing that Monrovia is going to like more than to be in Mid-Valley Division games where people are picking against them, where people are saying you're not going to win this
But
game.
I don't think it's gotten to that point yet. I'll still be picking them.
Will you, if they play Covina in the semifinals,
No.
you still pick them?
No, if they play Covina at any time, I won't pick them.
I think they would love to be in the playoffs.
Against just about anybody else.
Picking Covina against them, or everybody picking San Dimas in a rematch.
But when's that scenario going to happen? If Monrovia plays Arroyo, are you going to pick Arroyo? I mean,
I'm
come
going to
on.
pick Monrovia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I still think once in the Mid-Valley Division, they're still going to have all this hype and backing with them.
I do want to play a little devil's advocate and not sell San Marino too short. They have had a starting quarterback throughout the year in Matt Walford.
Right.
They have Kwame Doe, I think, is finally getting his
back from his knee injury, right?
He's back from his knee injury. He's got off to a slow start, but it looks like he's finally getting to the Kwame Doe that we were used to in the early part of last year. Not only that, but Nick Gott is also a good backup to him. They seem to transition back and forth, and they have a good little rotation going on there. He was wreaking havoc last week on the defensive line. So they have a solid unit out there that's played well together, and I think they have that advantage over Monrovia.
Mickey, let's not forget this San Marino junior class was the one that had the great year as freshmen, and this was the one that Mooney was looking forward to, that had a lot of sophomores up last year getting time. So these are guys that won some games as freshmen, and they were a good class, and supposedly, I mean, I haven't really followed it lately, there wasn't that much in the way of defections as far as leaving the school to go elsewhere or whatever. So maybe this team can play defense, control the clock, and be in this game in the fourth quarter against Monrovia. You guys pick it, man. We got 2 minutes left.
Oh, I mean, that's great conversation piece. I don't see it. I haven't seen San Marino all year, and I'm calling this game by 21 points. We'll talk about it Friday night, but 3 touchdowns they win by.
Miguel?
I won't go as far as to say by how much Monrovia will win. I do think they will win. If San Marino can eliminate some of the big plays, then they're in the game. But just in this league right now, Monrovia, the big plays is just at their disposal.
And the last thing, I'd like to see Observant Cat back on my blogs. I haven't seen him on the blog since the South Hills log. He's kind of just disappeared.
Did you ban his IP address?
No.
He
just disappeared.
I think he's been on mine.
Talking at the beginning of the year.
I think he's been on mine.
Then set in.
I think he knows that Big Aram knows Monrovia will come to play come November. So
Observant, I got this. You guys are going to be fine. You get to the playoffs. You guys are going to be fine.
Okay, so you both have Monrovia. I'm going to pick Monrovia also. I need an injury report for Monrovia to really kind of give a spread on this game, because who knows who's going to play, who's going to be under center, who's going to be running the ball.
These aren't season enders, are they, Miguel? They're probably looking at big picture all the way.
Well, the big time players like Frazier is not a season ender. Neither is Hayworth. They held him out just because
McCarthy thing's lingering though, man.
It's lingering, but the reason why he didn't play against La Cañada 2 weeks ago was because he hadn't practiced all week.
Oh, okay. What about Deshaun? He was banged up.
Deshaun Ramirez also banged up. I think that I haven't talked to Maddox today, but he was also held out just, I think, for precautionary reasons. Also with a knee injury.
They could have suited up their
they have
JV
lost,
fair enough.
Right, but they have lost a couple guys to season injuries, so.
All right, we got to get off the air. Monrovia visiting San Marino on Friday night should be a good one. The loser of this game, once again, you put yourself in trouble in that Mid-Valley division as far as those guaranteed playoff spots. So get out there and enjoy it. Monrovia at San Marino, big one in the Rio Honda League. Thanks for watching.